podcast is brought to you by Substack. Go to substack.tristanjmiller.com for early access to this podcast as well as film reviews from me, Tristan Miller.
And now, our feature presentation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Focus Testing, a podcast about movies where we make a movie. My name is Tristan Miller, and today I'm joined by the very funny comedian Otto Fernandez. Hi, Otto.
Hi, Tristan.
How are you doing today, man?
I'm good, man.
Yeah.
Today was a regular day for me at work. I drank a pomegranate kombucha.
Hell yeah. Good. So I start the same way every time, and that's to say, what's the movie that you remember seeing in the cinema first?
Ooh, shit. That's an interesting question. Okay. This is gonna sound random as hell, because it is, but as far back as going back to like the first movie I remember seeing in a theater. Now, this isn't necessarily the right answer, I think, but this is the first movie that came to mind. I remember being with my uncle and some of my cousins, and we had bought tickets to this movie, and that movie was trash apparently. So we somehow left the theater that we were in and snuck in, I believe, to the Scorpion King, starring The Rock.
Hell yeah.
Again, this isn't the correct answer. I just remember being like, yo, you asked me that, and then my mind went right back to that, because we didn't even stick around for the entirety of the Scorpion King, I think. I think we eventually went back to the other theater. I definitely remember like us popping our heads in and seeing like The Rock doing some Scorpion King activities, you know? So it's not the correct answer, but it's the first answer to come to mind.
That is more than correct, I'd say then. You know, again, it's the first one you can remember, and sometimes that means remembering in that moment, you know? But that's very funny. So you don't remember what the initial film was, though? That's gonna haunt me.
I don't, honestly.
I want to look up like movies from that year now, but I
Because
doubt.
Scorpion King came out, I want to say 2002, 2003. So I was already like 10, 11 years old. So I already know I've seen movies in the theater before that point in my life. But I just can't seem to recall movie going or theater going experiences that clearly before then.
That's fair. It did come out in 2002. You were right on the money with that. Way to go. So also, you're a comedian, as I mentioned in the introduction, but you and I have a shared history of going to the same school for acting, the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. And what led you to that decision? What were you like a kid and obsessed with movies, or was it just like I like performing?
It was generally a I like performing thing for sure. What led me to actually making that decision was after going to a CUNY school, City Tech, for a couple of years and not really knowing what I wanted to pick as a major. What turned out to be my final semester there, I took a acting course just for the hell of it, you know, to like pad my schedule, and I ended up really enjoying it. So based off of that one course in that one semester, I decided to just stop going to that to City Tech. And then for like months afterwards, I was just like going to movies. You know, I had this part-time job, and I had a little bit of money from that. And I would like, you know, just basically I was just fucking around, going to movies, and like, you know, I was like, at the time, streaming services aren't what they are now. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I was subscribed to like a Netflix or a Hulu. And then when I was at home, I was just, you know, watching whatever on those apps. And then I would go to a movie every now and then. And then, you know, I believe I was also working at a fried chicken restaurant. Oh, no, that came after. eventually I was like, well, I need to go back to school at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And the acting thing was more so like, oh yeah, that was fun. Let's see if I could actually like do this for real. And
Mm-hmm.
so I went to the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts and I applied and I
Mm.
joined and I was a student there for like it was like an advanced program. So I was there for like a
Mm.
couple of years, like from 2013 to 2014. We basically did like 2 years worth of like coursework over the course of like 9 months, I want to say.
Wow.
It was like a very like fast track kind of program.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, they didn't have that when I went there, but you also went the year after I graduated, I want to say. So we missed each other then by this much. If you'd
You
only,
left there in 2012 then?
yeah, I want to
Oh,
say
okay.
2012, 2013. I should, well, my diploma's right here because Lord knows I have nothing else to hang up. I'm the class of 2013, so I would have graduated in 2013. So was
Got you.
there any overlap? No.
I don't recall meeting you then.
Yeah, no. But isn't that a fun bit of kismet? I always find enjoy in such things. Don't know why I turned into Stephen Fry there for a second. I find joy in such things. So I got a couple questions for you if you're willing to have a go. Um, the first question I have is, what is movie? What is
What what is movie,
what
man?
is movie?
Movie is just, a movie. No, no, you didn't say what is a movie. You said what is movie.
That's true.
Movie, okay. Movie is on some, yo, you have to see this. Movie is once you see it, there's nothing else like it. Movie is you want to tell your friends or your coworkers or your family or strangers at a bar, or you overhear someone talking about it, whatever movie it is, and then you just interject automatically because you're like, oh, you talking about this? Oh yeah, this shit was amazing. And then that's what movie is. It just catches your attention and just like holds on to you.
I love that. I love that answer very, very much. My next question is, what movie makes you the horniest? It can't be pornography.
Okay, now that just you would think that would narrow it down. It doesn't. Uh what movie makes me the horniest?
Yeah.
Because there are movies specifically like about like horny shit,
Mm-hmm.
like any movie with James Spader is a horny movie by default.
Yeah.
But I'm not really
Even
that
Age of Ultron, very horny
yeah,
movie.
yeah. You basically got James Spader doing a fucking Robert Downey Jr. impression kind of in Age of Ultron. But anyway, what was the question again? Wait,
What
what
movie makes
movie
you the
makes me the
horniest?
horniest?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Damn. Now that's actually very, I guess, X, that a movie that came out, X, yeah, it came out recently starring
Mm,
Mia Goth and Jenna Ortega
mm-hmm.
and Kid Cudi making and Brittany Snow making a porn in like a cabin on the like in a barn somewhere set in the 1970s. It's also a horror film,
Mm-hmm.
and the sex scenes in that, yeah, I was bricked up in the theater, sure, sure. So I guess as a recent example of a horny movie or a movie that made me the horniest, quote unquote, I would say X is on that list for sure.
Okay. I respect that. I have heard good things about it. I'm interested. I'm now even more intrigued to see what got you so bricked up in the cinema, as you say. That's a very good answer. Now here's a kind of geopolitical question for you. What country should replace the US as top dog in terms for film making? Because we're already on the way out. We're no longer going to be the top, I think, in the next like 10 years. Who do you think should replace us?
I want to see Korea,
Yeah,
South Korea, and hell, North Korea too, if they like can like can like sneak their way past
sure.
the North Koreanness of it all. But Korean films are have always been dope. The filmmakers, the actors, and they just don't get the credit or they do get the credit, but as far as from American audiences, it's
Hmm.
one of those you have to be in the know and really have to just be into cinema that isn't just American by American filmmakers by just starring like whatever American actor or whatever. You got to like really seek out Korean films to really be into and get into Korean films. So I don't know. I guess I'd give it to them.
Yeah, that makes sense. They already are lined up with quality, so now it's just about quantity, eh? Um, Another question I have for you is, what was your first crush that you had on a character in a movie? That you,
Okay.
yeah.
First crush on a character in the movie. Now, if you had said TV, I would have had like a whole
Mm-hmm.
thing of shit. But as far as crushes on movie characters, I don't know if I can answer this one honestly, just
Mm,
because with movies, I don't really go into movie, or I don't really go out of movies
mm.
necessarily being like, oh man, this character, because like you only got 2 hours, like if I
Yeah, yeah.
enjoyed the movie overall, then I'm like, okay, great. I feel like with crushes, I maybe that will develop in a TV show because you get more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, hold up. Now that I'm saying, now that I'm talking and thinking about it, maybe Gwyneth Paltrow and Royal Tenenbaums, maybe,
Oh, okay.
or Olivia Williams. I think that's the actress name, Olivia Williams in Rushmore.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you like someone like subdued and like uncomfortable a little bit in a Wes Anderson style?
and I
Hmm.
don't know why I said two Wes Anderson movies, but yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
What about for TV? Now you've piqued my curiosity. What about TV? First crush.
Oh man. Okay. Definitely. And this is gonna be embarrassing, but what was that Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen show on like
Yeah,
ABC
Full
Family? I
House.
think. No, ew, nigga, no, ew, no.
Listen,
Uh,
here's the thing. You could have been like a 2-year old or 3-year old going, I love looking at them. Could have been age appropriate.
yeah, but
Also, can I tell you, I said
this
that
is my answer.
not thinking about the age gap. I was like, oh right, what's
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like,
And then I realized, oh right, you had the correct response. I deeply
I would
apologize.
have to give the wild disclaimer, like, "Hey, just so y'all know, I was
Yeah.
this." Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be insane. But
Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen on that show, ABC Family show, Step by Step. I
oh, step
think
by
that's what it
step.
is. I think that's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
I think, or maybe I'm
Okay.
bugging. That might be like another show entirely. But yeah, or Brandy on Moesha,
Mm-hmm. Understandable. Both.
Kim, Kim Parker on the Parkers. Like, there's like a whole lot of Raven,
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea. That's a Raven. Like,
Yeah. I think you've hit on something that I find quite interesting as well, is because you need to sit with characters generally for more time and let them like be in your home before you really develop like quote unquote feelings for somebody. I feel like
right?
in a movie it's very easy to go, this person is hot and I want to fuck them. Like
Yeah,
very easy. But to be like, oh wow, I love this person's soul for 2 hours, maybe not so much.
yeah.
What movie do you think has the best soundtrack?
Hmm. I would have to tap in further, but Mo Money, that Damon Wayans, Marlon Wayans movie from like the 1992.
Okay.
There's this Ralph Tresvant song on there called "Can't Buy Me Love." Not "Can't Buy Me Love," but that's like the chorus. Can't buy me love, can't buy you happy. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, that song is amazing. So based off the strength of that song,
Sure.
I would say that whole soundtrack. I would have to like go in
Mm-hmm.
further. And then
Nice.
Friday, any of the three Friday movies. I'm sure
Mm.
Soul Plane has a good soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna name a single white film for
That
this question because you know.
as well you
Oh,
shouldn't.
Space Jam has a great soundtrack. We know this.
Yes, that is well known and documented. How many slaps in the face would you take to be in an A24 movie?
Oh shit, I'll take at least 24 just to, for commitment to the bit,
That's quite good. That's very, very good. The final question that I have for you, and then we'll make our little movie here. It's the same one I ask everybody. What makes Austin Powers so sexy?
He's just him, he's just
Mm,
himself. He's not really, it's like he's really doing and saying those things, but there's still like a bashfulness to it, kind of.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little bit of a. Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. All right. So for our prompt today, the word we have is tactic. Tactic. So, tactic. There's a couple ways that this could go. Do you have any ideas right off the top of your head, or do you want me to start going?
Okay, so there's a guy
Mm-hmm.
in a car and he has binoculars
Okay.
and he's looking. He's he has the binoculars set on the playground.
Oh no.
And before you think, oh, this is weird as shit, he's not looking at the kids. Oh, no, no, no. He's looking at the mother of one of the kids who's at the playground.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking at her through the binoculars, the mother, and he just puts the binoculars down, picks up a little notepad, he writes down some shit, and then he puts the binoculars back up, and then he just, salivating at the lips, right? Salivating at the lips, just salivating because he finally knows which playground this mother and the kid are at,
Mm.
right? I don't know how long he's been searching, but he's been searching long enough to where he finally feels like, yes, I finally found them. And then he like is rummaging through the car, and then he pulls down the mirror, and then in the mirror is a picture of him with the mom and the kid. And yeah, he's the dad,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he's finally like, I guess what where tactic comes in is he's gonna figure out how to win them back.
Mm.
A winning tactic, perhaps.
Perhaps, perhaps. So like a more desperate version of Mrs. Doubtfire, where he's like
Yes.
being a real creep. I like that a lot. Um, I feel like that's such a strong opening. You see it, and then he shuts the thing. It cuts to black. Tactic comes up, and then the next chunk has got to be we have to get to know this guy a little bit, right? Like, and then from there we kind of can deduce what happened with him and his wife, I assume, or a person he had a kid with. So I feel like the next part is we see him working at, I think he works at a laundromat, and we see him kind of going about his day and talking to his friend. And his friend is like, don't do this. You're being a weird pervert. Stop it. You're being a weirdo. I need you to stop. We can't be friends if you keep doing this. And he's like, it's fine. It's fine. I just wanted to make sure that they were okay. And he's like, yeah, okay, man, whatever. But then I feel as though he a person walks in, and it's one of the other moms from the park, and he recognizes her too, and she's doing a pardon me, like a drop off for your dry cleaning, and she's going to have it delivered. So he now knows her address and can therefore deduce from that where what part of the neighborhood um the mom of his kid lives, like somewhere there's some sort of connection there. What do you think about that?
Hmm. I feel like my guy is gonna pretend in front of his friend that he's just gonna continue like it's just like a normal interaction just occurred.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
then after maybe getting off of work, he has the address either written down. No, he has it written down. He has a phone, but he likes writing things down.
Mm-hmm.
So he writes down the address. He goes to the neighborhood the address is in, and he's just walking around, He's walking around. He walks by a flower shop. He goes in and he asks for like a bouquet of flowers, right? Why? Just on the off chance that he runs into the mother of his child, right? And then the flower shop owner tells him the price, and he goes, "Oh, shit, it's too much money." Because my guy, he's also broke. He's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's desperate,
Yeah.
and he's also financially, desperate. So he's not
Mhm.
necessarily trying to, buy a whole bouquet right now. But he does buy a single rose. He leaves the flower shop, and then it sort of sets in like, oh, he's not in his car. He doesn't have his binoculars. He's out in the open right now. So now he's just wandering the streets of this random ass neighborhood, hoping to just catch a glimpse of this woman. And, like, it kind of makes him freak out a little bit.
Mhm.
So he starts like breathing heavily. He really is like on the verge of a panic attack, damn near, maybe.
Mhm.
But then he runs into not the mother of his child, but the woman who dropped off the dry cleaning earlier.
Mhm.
And then she goes, "Oh, you're the guy from the dry cleaning place. Holy shit, that's crazy." Oh, she doesn't. She may not say "holy shit," but it's sort of like she's she's not put off by him. She's sort of like, "Oh, what a random nice
Mhm.
interaction. How you doing?" And then the two end up at a coffee shop, and then
Mm.
you know they they sit down at a table and they get to know each other, just like casual conversation. She's more so like you know there's like a giddiness to her,
Mm.
right? One, because that's like her character. She's like a giddy. She's like she's like a real like gung ho mom,
Sure,
right?
sure.
She loves being with her kids and shit, but she doesn't know him,
Mhm.
and he's kind of like, oh, it's been a while since a woman was like in a good was like happy to be with me.
Yeah, yeah, in a good mood near
Even
me. Yeah.
yeah, even in like this casual like kind of like stale coffee shop environment. So he starts, going along with her vibe,
Mhm.
and I would say that's your turn now.
Okay, no worries. I like that a lot. I like how he then I feel like it ends and he gets back to his place and I think she gives him her number, or there's a like a moment as they're leaving, like at the thing, and she goes, "I'm gonna give you my number," and then he goes, "Oh wait," he goes, "I already have it because of the order." She goes, "Oh great, whatever." Actually, no, I take it back. I think what happens is this: he goes home, he realizes how sad he actually is because he just had this wonderful, like normal interaction, and that meant the world to him. And so from there, he is so it makes him really think and realize that like he's holding on to something, stalking the mother of his child and his child, which is like complicated, but he goes, I gotta move on. I gotta move on. Like maybe he calls up his friend, is like, I've been doing this insane thing, I gotta stop doing it. And his friend is like, yeah, that's what I've been telling you, right? And they have a conversation, and that's basically it. They're like, you can't keep doing this, it's weird that you're doing it, there's probably going to be the law enforcement involved if you keep doing this. And he goes, okay, 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 I'm going to stop it. I've learned that like this isn't the way for me to be happy. But instead of going, okay, I learned my lesson, I'm not going to stalk anyone anymore, he starts stalking the woman that he just had coffee with because he doesn't know how to just process normal emotions. And he's just like, well, I think I'm in love now, but I don't know how to approach another human being. So he immediately falls back into his old ways rather. But in a for the first chunk of it, I feel like he's stalking her. He's like sending her gifts and this sort of thing. She thinks it's sweet because she's not married or whatever. She wouldn't mind someone new in her life. It's not bad. However, she doesn't realize how far he's going to take it. Does that make sense? Like it feels like a secret admirer sort of situation. And then I think something in the middle of like this is how I see it. There's got to be something in the middle of the second act where she turns on him, right? And then he has to kind of win her back. And then the end of the third act, time has passed, and he bumps into her again. And she goes, "Well, actually, I'm seeing someone now. I actually fell in love with my roommate." And he goes, "Oh, really? This is, uncomfortable, but what is he like?" And she goes, "Oh, no, she's great." And it turns out to be the wife of his kid.
Oh my god.
What do you think about that?
Okay, we have to have that in like the third act for
Yeah.
sure, because that's just too juicy a
Mm-hmm.
moment to just like drop in the middle of the second act,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps.
I think that's the
Or
third act
maybe,
twist. But like the second act climax is like her going, "No, I don't want you around anymore." Right?
hmm,
But how do we get to those beat points? What do you think?
hmm, maybe our guy tips his hand too much, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Maybe he oversteps a boundary without realizing it, you know?
Mm-hmm. I feel like showing up to her place of work could be it. Or since she has a kid too, ooh, what about this? I think this makes it a lot creepier if, since she has a kid too, he goes to the park to hang out with a kid when the kid is with a babysitter, right? And the babysitter is like, "I don't know you. This is
Oh,
insane. Like, you have to leave."
that would be, oh yeah, do that. That's,
Yeah, I think that's great. And then she's like, "You can't be near my son when I'm not there. That's weird of you to do unless we had talked about it. I can't keep doing this. I thought it was fine at first, but now it's terrible."
yes.
And then there has to be like a little bit time in between where before we get to it turns out that she's dating the mother of this guy's child. What do you think should happen in that little liminal space?
Well, her reaction to this is entirely normal and justified.
Yes, correct.
Our guy is a fucking weirdo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't really judge the characters, but yeah, like objectively on paper, that's a weirdo move.
Yeah.
You know
The
what I'm
very
saying?
least a weirdo.
Yes.
At
And
most
so,
criminal.
so how does this affect him? One, his wife has left his life.
Mm-hmm.
She and their kid out of the picture. And then he thinks he started something new with someone else, and he realizes like, oh shit, like maybe maybe finally he realizes like, oh, there's a pattern of bullshit I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And how does he cope with that? Does he continue going the way he's going, or does he take a step back and actually try to do something else?
I feel like, well, yeah, it's really, is it an uplifting film or is it a tragedy? Like, does he get in his own way enough where his life gets ruined? Or does he like go to therapy essentially, you know? Um, hmm. That is the because part of me likes this idea that like he doesn't learn anything, but like that whole thing with the third act, and he realizes, "Oh my god, I gotta like." So in between, like he goes, "Okay, I gotta change," and he does a bit. He stops like being as weird and as aggressive. He maybe gets a promotion at his place of business because that's how capitalism reflects someone doing okay mentally.
Yeah.
And then he bumps into the woman, and it turns out that his ex-wife and she are dating now, and that's the thing that makes him go immediately back into his old ways because he doesn't know how to handle it. But he starts stalking someone and gets into a car accident and dies. Is that too much? Is that
Hmm.
too far? Because that's a little full on, right?
Going back to the therapy idea, it would be kind
Mm-hmm.
of funny if we just cut to him talking to someone, and then the therapist is like, "Uh-huh, okay, uh-huh," like
Mm-hmm.
nodding along, listening. And then our guy is like, "Oh, thank you for hearing me out. I'm sorry. I know I came in like super last minute."
Mm-hmm.
And then the camera pans over to a security guard being like, "Okay, you gotta go.
I like that a lot.
You gotta go."
Yeah, and then it cuts back to the therapist, and it's the couple, you know, his ex-wife, and they're in actually in therapy, and he's just like, yeah, um, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I like that a lot. Of like, just like getting or did you mean like he's in the therapist's office, but a security comes and escorts him out?
Yeah, he's like
Oh, okay, I like that too. Yeah,
just that's also I like the couple just also being there because they're in couples therapy, but
yeah,
also just like the guy having a therapist who cut him loose for whatever reason or
hmm
reasons, and then but the therapist still has that knowledge of our guy. So he's like, oh no, he's gonna throw your ass out, but here's this little nugget real quick, and then
yeah,
get the fuck out.
I like that. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we have him going to therapy in between, and that happens, and then he finds out about the couple, and then does he just accept that life sometimes is bad at the end?
Cause it's like, do we eventually have to have a scene between him and and his kid?
I like that idea.
Like maybe he realizes like, yeah, this is bad, but maybe I can use it to my advantage where I can be like, hey, listen, as I just want to see my kid one last time, say what I gotta say, and then dip.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the movie can sort of end with sort of like, oh no, like he's a bad person,
Mm-hmm.
but at least the one person is in his entire world who's young enough to not know how much of a fuck up and a piece of shit weirdo he is.
Yeah.
At least they can have something nice
Mm-hmm.
about him, unlike everyone else who he's just ruined shit with.
I think I like that. It's very bittersweet. He's like, "I love you, son. I'm never gonna see you again, but know that, and you know, I'll be here. I'll be around if you need me, basically." And then he just like never sees them again. I like that
Or like
a lot.
or he gives the kid like a gift that means
Mm.
something to him. Like he maybe gives the kid like his notepad that he
Exactly.
writes
That's
all
what I
this
was
shit
gonna
in.
say. Yeah. Ah, that's so good. That's great. Ugh. And then I think we maybe fade out and then we fade back in and it's years later and it's an adult that we haven't seen with the notepad looking at an address that he's written down and it pans up to an apartment and then it goes, it's like 5 years later or whatever, it's the kid having tracked down his dad to talk to him at the end.
Hmm.
And then and then it goes to credits. What do you think about that?
I think we just made something very interesting here.
I think so too. It sounds pretty good, eh? Not
Yeah.
bad. Who do you think should play our three main roles of?
And the main roles obviously being our guy,
Mm-hmm.
the mother of his child,
Mm-hmm.
and the new woman he meets.
Yep. And then if you have an idea for his friend at the laundromat, that'd be fine too.
Now
I
this is really interesting because when we started off, you
mm-hmm.
said tactic, and my mind immediately went to Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Sure. I cannot tell you. I don't know who that is, but I will say yes. Based off of those two credits, yeah, sounds great. What is his
But
name again?
the actor's name is Jonathan Banks. But
Oh,
as we
John.
went on, I imagine like, yeah, he can't just be Jonathan Banks, but he's definitely gonna have to be someone I envision in like
Mm.
their 30s or 40s,
Who
you
is that
know,
kind of like?
who has that sort of like, oh, this person is repulsive. But if we cast an actor who's good enough, then it's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
we still want to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like maybe have you seen The King of Comedy?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
With
Yeah.
Robert De Niro as
Yep.
Rupert Pupkin.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not someone who's that far
Mm-hmm.
into delusion, but someone whose delusionalness is like right underneath the surface. So it's like a subtlety to it, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking of that as well when we were putting this together. I think the two names that come to mind for me are Joel Edgerton, um, and then Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh shit. I
Cause
think
yeah,
I fuck with Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah, because
Yes.
he's been creepy and weird before, but he's also like handsome enough and charming enough that people go, I can see why you would put up with this kind of guy. But he's a fucking weirdo. Um, who do you think would be good? I've cast one part. Who do you think would be good for his ex-wife?
Hmm. Yo, give me Regina Hall, son. Give
Yes.
me Regina fucking Hall. She's
Excellent.
been getting like, I loved her in Support the Girls. I loved her. Oh, wait, hold up. Hold
Mm-hmm.
up. Maybe not the ex-wife. Maybe the new woman he
Mm-hmm.
meets. Maybe her. Regina Hall will be good as just
Yeah.
like the giddy, like loves her
Mm-hmm.
life, loves her kid, loves the like her situation
Mm-hmm.
type person. I feel like her and Jake Gyllenhaal could have good chemistry, you
I
know?
think so too. Yeah. Now hear me out on this next one. Then for the ex-wife, Regina King.
Oh shit.
Two
Son.
Reginas in the same film.
Yo, son. But my thing is, oh man, is it funny or fucked up that like
He has a
the
type.
two main love interests are both black women who are like, oh, this fucking guy again, eventually. Like,
I mean, then it's like going to be read as like some sort of metaphor for sure.
and
But
it's like, I don't want to do that
yeah,
to
okay,
Regina
no worries.
King. I'm
That's
fine
fair.
with Regina Hall being, in the
Okay.
mix, of course, but
Then what about how about we get who's someone who's like age, someone like how about someone like Scarlett Johansson? Who's just like, yeah, we get why you would want to be with her and that sort of thing, and like, but
Scarlett Johansson as the ex-wife.
yeah, what do you think of that? Or is that too? Do I not care enough about it?
It seems like a very, I wouldn't say obvious casting, but it's like,
Mm,
oh, it's a casting, you know?
yeah, yeah. You'd be
And
like, oh
also
yeah,
I
that makes sense.
and I also don't want it to be like a with her casting in it as like the ex-wife. I feel like she already did that kind of role in
Mm,
Marriage Story,
fair.
even though the plot of Marriage Story isn't the same as our plot, but it is sort of like, oh, like I feel like she's sort of done this kind of role
Mm-hmm.
already, and I want to see somebody else be the person. And it also, based on how we've been talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
the ex-wife isn't really, she figures in the plot,
Yeah.
but not as much as maybe Regina Hall's
Mm-hmm.
character.
Yeah. Now, hear me out on this. Maybe the age doesn't make any sense. What about Brenda Wong from, is it Sweet Life and Zach and Cody?
Oh no,
And
Brenda Song.
yeah, Brenda's Song, I'm sorry. Brenda's Song from like Social Network and Sweet Life. What do you think about that? Or so it's
Oh,
like not a person you would necessarily immediately think of for this kind of thing.
I like it.
Yeah,
I fuck
it
with
doesn't it
this.
doesn't it feel like right for some reason? And
I
I
fuck with that.
I feel like the guy that works at the laundromat with him, in my mind, it's either like Adam Driver or Luis Guzman. Like those are the someone who has a lot of energy and is like comic
Yo,
relief.
Luis Guzman in that role would be so fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Because if Luis Guzman tells you fucking up, it's like our guy still fucks up, but it's like it's way believable coming from Luis Guzman.
I think so as well. Ugh, I think we got a great cast here. Who do you want to direct the picture, do you think? Who do you think would be good for this?
Because this is definitely, I mean, there's some humor to this, but it's definitely like,
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe a dark comedy at best.
I
That,
think
that would
so.
probably be like the safe bet as the label on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because have you seen the movie Modern Romance?
I have it. No.
It's the Albert Brooks movie, and I'm so mad at myself for forgetting the name of the leading actress in the movie. But the movie is basically Albert Brooks just stalking this poor woman into being with him. It
Catherine
doesn't,
Harold.
yes, and it isn't as complicated or as complex as what we've got cooking
Mm-hmm.
here. But if you see it, it's literally just a guy who refuses to take no for an answer. And this is like, and it really does. And it's literally, there are no other characters that figure into the plot. It's just him stalking her the whole time and just constantly just getting back or trying to just get her to be with him the whole time, and
Oh
it's
my
super
god.
disturbing actually.
Ugh.
So I would say that's more overtly dark comedy. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like with our film that we're developing right now, there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely some more there's like it's definitely like some dramatic elements as well.
For sure. Yeah.
Because I
I
don't see this playing as like a madcap, like oh, like I see like
yeah, yeah.
with the opening of the movie with just him in the car and like with
Yeah.
the binoculars and like he's like training on like his like ex-wife and like the kid, and it's like I don't see that going quickly in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I feel like with like there's like some parts in here that like need to go slow,
Yeah.
especially with the parts where it's just him on his stalker shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think so too. I think like getting someone who's like really good at tension and building that would be good. I mean,
Or maybe someone who's like I would maybe Paul Thomas Anderson, dude.
can I tell you that does work because it's like this weirdo. He loves a movie about a weirdo, doesn't he?
Yes.
He, he,
Yes.
Paul Thomas Anderson bravely asks, "What if a guy was weird?"
Like I swear to God, dude, like the first like maybe 30 minutes of There Will Be Blood is just Daniel Day-Lewis in the fucking oil wells, like just working. Like there's nothing else happening. It's just him in
No.
the oil wells. Like everybody's just covered in like black like oil basically, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like oh, and then he finds a kid, and then it's like oh, all right, cool. Like I guess now the plot can kick in.
Yeah, similar with like Punch Drunk Love, that first like 20 minutes is like, wow, what is going on here? Why does this guy have that many yogurts or whatever it is? Ah, so I love that. I think that's great. I think we have a real winner on our hands. Do you want to do a quick lightning round?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I think this movie is, I cannot stress enough, Otto. I think that we got a really good picture here. I'm excited about it. All right. So the first word for the lightning round is center. So I have an idea, and then I can go first, and then you can see how it kind of operates. You're going to be also creating a movie based off of the word center. So, um, for me, center is about a meditation retreat that people go to, and then a murder mystery occurs. Someone dies at the meditation retreat, and eventually figure out it's actually a conspiracy based off of the people that own the place, and it's actually like somehow linked to escalating nuclear armament. And that's my picture center.
Okay.
Hmm.
And now I go based
Yep,
on the word center.
that is correct.
Okay. A community center,
Hmm.
a place like maybe somewhere in a low income neighborhood, maybe you know what I
Hmm.
mean, run by someone from the neighborhood, and the center is being threatened to be shut down by the landlord or landlords who own the building, own the block, and then realizing like, oh, this center is all I got. This center is all that these kids and whoever else comes through here got. They decide, you know what, enough is enough, and the guy who like runs the center, he meets with the landlord. I'll make it like one owner,
Hmm.
just to emphasize how fucked up the situation is that this one person can own pretty much everyone's fate.
Hmm.
They get into a little things get heated. The main guy, the guy who runs the center, attacks the landlord, accidentally kills them, and then from then on it's just sort of like, oh, how do I cover this up?
Yeah.
It's not he covers it up and then it's like, oh, I hope I don't get found out. It's like, oh, no, 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 how do I cover this up
Yeah.
right now? And somehow he gets people involved from the center,
Hmm.
and the rest of the movie is just like, okay, here's what we do, or no, here's what we don't do. We gotta do this, we gotta do that, and then and doing it quickly before authorities get involved.
That's so good. I love those kinds of movies where something goes wrong and then you just spend the whole movie trying to fix it. I love that kind of picture. Next word is theft. So, my picture based off of theft is about a guy who makes fake IDs. But in order to do that, he has to steal the IDs from other people because he's not very bright, this guy. he doesn't figure out that you can just like counterfeit documents. So he goes around stealing people's IDs and then switching the pictures basically. And then he gets caught by the FBI. But rather than the FBI being like, you're going to prison now, they go, hey, you're really good at this. We've never seen anyone as good at this than you. We need you to help us pull a job. And then he goes and he has to infiltrate a company in China to gather intelligence from for the US government rather. And that's what theft is about.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Theft. A guy gets robbed by another guy, and after some time passes and he gets past his agoraphobia a little bit, he realizes like, oh man, like it's not that he's afraid of being robbed again. It turns out like he's just angry. He's angry that he let himself fall victim to this situation, to this person. And so he resolves to finding the guy and robbing him back. Not necessarily getting the shit that was taken from him. He's just like, no. I have to rob you to even the scales. That's literally it. It's like a revenge thriller, but he's not trying to like, oh, you killed my family. Like, no, you robbed me, and now I'm gonna have to rob you back. That's just what I'm gonna have to do to make this okay.
That's very good. I love that. Ugh. I just did also realize that theft is also the foot, like the FT. And part of me is like, oh, what if someone stole a guy's leg? And that was what it was about. All right. So the next one is, wow, file. File is about, it's about a chain gang in the early 1900s that tries to escape. And they all, it's a bunch of people who are looking out only for themselves. And of course, then about, 5 of them get away, but they're all still linked together. So they have to learn to cooperate and respect each other. Nice little picture, There's constantly the authorities are constantly chasing them. And they're constantly getting into trouble, getting out of trouble. And then, at the end, I think one of them betrays them, the rest of the group, by like saying, well, the cops said I'll get immunity if I do that. And then the cops show up and they immediately shoot that guy. And then so for the rest of that's like the third act twist. And for the rest of the movie, for a good chunk of the movie, they have this dead body still attached to their chain that they have to like take turns holding. It's a bit grim, but it's also funny of like, trying to run through the woods and they all have to like take a turn with Carl or whatever. And then eventually they get free and then they go and become part of the gold rush out in California. I know I said early 1900s. I meant the 1800s. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. File. Okay. 2 FBI agents.
Yes.
One is like by the book, skeptical type. The other is like a believer, believes in aliens. Dude is named Fox Mulder. The skeptic is named Dana Scully. They investigate paranormal, sci-fi, alien type shit.
Oh, this is such a good idea.
And then they call it the X-Files.
I've never.
And there's also a dude who smokes hella cigarettes, and then exhibit might pop up years later.
Hell yeah.
I think I'm a really good creator. That's a very original idea that's never been done before.
I agree. I've never heard of anything like it before. You're really just a staggering mind. And I think, you know what? I think people will like it, Otto.
Played by Michael B. Jordan and you know what? Gillian Anderson. I've always liked her. Yeah, put her in the Scully role.
Why not? Live a little. All right. Well, this has been heaps of fun. Do you have anything that you want people who listen to this podcast to know that you're up to?
I mean, to find out anything I'm up to, just follow me on Twitter at Otto Fernandez and on Instagram at Otto_Fernandez. And with the Instagram, you have to spell out the word underscore.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. This was, again, lots of fun. And I will speak to you soon, I'm sure.
All right. See you, Tristan.
Bye.